This is what the aftermath of FML looks like.
Where's the easy button?
Today's episode of In the Cave with Valley Rally Enduro is brought to you by Beta Canada, our number one choice when it comes to riding the best enduro bikes on the market today. Go to betacanada.net or your local Beta dealer to check out the latest 2022 models. Ride, race, live, Beta. It's all good in the woods. This episode is also brought to you by Sunny Hill Resort, located on the shores of beautiful Bark Lake in Barry's Bay, Ontario. Family-oriented and moto-friendly, Sunny Hill is Ontario's #1 vacation destination and boasts a full range of great amenities such as fully equipped waterfront cottages, full-service campsites, and year-round ride-in, ride-out access for dirt bikes, motorcycles, and snowmobiles. Go to sunnyhillresort.com for full pricing and availability. This episode is also brought to you by Langs Off-Road. If you are at all into enduro or trials riding here in Ontario, then you are no doubt familiar with Langs Off-Road. They are one of, if not the only, dedicated enduro and trial shop in the province, and they know their stuff. If you are in the Southern Ontario region and are an enduro or trials enthusiast like us, then you would be doing yourself a disservice by not checking out Langs Off-Road for your moto needs. So Amir,
Yes.
welcome to the cave.
Thank you.
You
having me.
run a great company called Triple Clamp Moto. So we're super stoked to have you on the podcast. That's really great for you to come by and give us your time. So we appreciate you showing up.
Thank you. It was a good excuse to jump on the 1290 and ride up here.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, you weren't suffering. You rolled up on the 1290.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah, I need
Yeah.
I have to go on a podcast.
Yeah. Better take the bike.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know or aren't familiar with Triple Clamp Moto, why don't you give us a brief summary of what Triple Clamp Moto does for the moto community right now?
Well, in short, we're a dual sport shop, but it's different than your average dual sport shop or dirt bike, motorcycle store. We never intended to be a store, and started by just guys getting together and says, these are great ideas. Let's make them. Let's make these products or that product for our own bikes.
Right.
Things that we saw that was needed and nobody was making it, and to us was a cool idea, and we one thing after another. Next thing we know, we have like 5-6 products, and then we needed help. Just next thing you know, you need storage, you need staff, you need one thing after another again.
Right.
The company grew organically to where it is now. So now we have a storefront in Toronto and North York.
Right.
And it's fun.
So
Yeah.
How many in-house products do you have at this point? Do you know?
Our own product?
Yeah.
75.
Okay.
Wow.
So let's list them from.
Well, they're not
alphabetical
all
order.
one product. For example, we've got engine covers for various bikes.
Yeah.
That's like 10, 15 different bikes.
Gotcha.
Right.
Steering dampers and air filter systems.
Mhm.
And
What's your biggest product? Like your in-house stuff that you would say you sell, or the best feedback you get from?
We made a really effective air filter system for 990, 950 KTMs. That's been a good seller for us, and it's something we made for our own bikes. And we're big on making steering damper mounts for most KTMs and 10RA, and they all work with the Scott steering damper.
Okay.
So those are fairly popular.
Right on.
Yeah.
So in some of our conversations that we've had since we've known you, you're quite an aficionado, especially when it comes to adventure bikes and adventure bike riding. You seem to have a real passion for motorcycles in general, which I think is part of the reason why we all get along so well.
Yeah.
Why don't we go back in time a little bit and explain to us kind of where your origins are from in terms of like where did that seed for the love of motorcycles begin for you? When did you start really kind of going, wow, I need to get one of these things?
Well, like most other guys who are meet in the community, I didn't grow up on dirt bikes, or I didn't even know what they were.
Right.
And I came to Canada when I was 18 years old on my own. And after a few years, I think we were talking about it. I was driving in Down Valley Parkway in Toronto, and the bike just, whoa, pulled right in front of me. This guy was middle of summer. He was wearing a T-shirt, and it was just the light bulb just turned on in my head. Says, what? Why am I not riding a motorcycle? It's everything that it's worked for me. That this is me. I got to be on that bike.
It's a valid question.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it felt like something that it's so natural.
Right.
I was odd that up on that point. I didn't really think about it. But then I went out and bought a motorcycle that fit my budget.
Mm-hmm.
And your first bike was what?
It was a Honda CB750, 1980, burgundy tank, and dual camshaft. And I didn't know anything about those.
Yeah.
And later on, I learned, this is a special.
It is.
I mean, as a first bike, that's a pretty sick first bike to have.
It is.
Yeah.
And I didn't have anyone to tell me where to start.
Right.
I quickly found out that I really like adventuring, getting out there, doing trips on bikes. And so I was going, it was a plan to go cross Canada with my girlfriend. And I said, I want to break my bike. There are mountains there. And I want to ride my bike in the mountains.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's got to be fun. So I went out and bought a boat trailer and converted it to a motorcycle trailer.
As you would, right?
Yeah, because again, there was nobody telling me that, hey, you can go buy a motorcycle trailer and, attach it. Well,
Right.
part of it was because it was expensive. I remember when I bought the trailer, I saw it in Kijiji. It was like $300. It's a yellow trailer. I show up to pick up the trailer, and the guy says, okay, so here, just take it. He says, there's a boat on it. I said, you have to take the boat. I don't want a boat. It was a cedar strip boat with engine in the back. There was no engine, but it was like a old one. And I didn't know how valuable that thing was. I don't want it. It says, no, this is part of the deal. You're taking the whole thing. Anyway, so with my dad, we cut it up and put a plywood on and put the bike on it and took it. I took it with me out west in a Honda Accord.
Awesome.
I wonder if some of the engineer shone through in you and was like, I could make a bike trailer, no problem.
It was the whole deck was made out of cedar strip.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that I think about it, I remember
really
we
nice
left it on a driveway while we were working on it, and somebody passed by and says, "What are you guys doing with that?" He says, "Do you want it? Just take it." The guy just didn't blink.
That's awesome.
Took it away.
Hilarious. Right on. So you went out west with your bike on a trailer.
And it fell off the trailer.
Of course it did.
In Saskatchewan. Yeah, we did a little S on the road, or something happened, and long story short, it just I look in the back mirror. I'm going sideways on Trans-Canada between the two tracks in the grass. I'm looking at the back mirror, and just the whole trailer and the bike is upside down.
Oh,
It's like a reverse. It's like a T. The bike just hit the ground, plowing through the grass with the headlight. And
oh, it's such a sad ending to such a nice
yeah,
motorcycle.
but I rode it for a summer before that. So
That's
I
good.
I left it there in Saskatchewan, and just we went to Vancouver. And
So what year would you have had this bike? What was
I can't be sure. I have to look on my pictures, I guess.
Like-
But I think it was 2005.
okay?
I think.
So the
Four-
Don Valley Parkway was still somewhat drivable at that point in
yeah.
time.
I was.
Yeah. that'd be a fun place to zip around on a bike when there's no traffic.
Still okay. I mean,
On
like
and off
4
ramps.
o'clock in the morning, probably.
Yeah.
For about 20 minutes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
right on. So after you came back from your trip, did you replace said motorcycle right away?
Yeah, so I went and picked that up, brought it back home sideways, laying down on the trailer. Sad,
Yeah.
really sad image. And I went to a motorcycle show and saw these guys rebuilding vintage bikes and said to them, "Hey, do you want this bike? Just come get it."
Yeah.
Sold it to them for like $200. And just friend of a friend was selling a Yamaha VMAX 1200cc.
Another great starter bike.
Inline 4, no brakes, no handling, just raw
Straight
power.
Power.
Again,
yeah.
I didn't know how powerful it was when I got it. And I got that and soon realized this is a wild motorcycle. And,
Yep.
then I had a friend of mine who was really into outdoors, and one day he comes to me and said that I'm going to buy a bike, and I've found the best bike in the world. There's this race called Dakar, and this bike won it, and now it's for sale. They made this bike available for public. Then I want to go buy it. He showed me a picture of it. It says, "You buying a motocross bike? This is not a motorcycle." Like I looked. It was a KTM 950. You're crazy. So he went out and bought it and came back and told me that I want to go on this trip to Labrador, to Goose Bay, and then Newfoundland. Back then, that big section was not paved yet.
Yep.
Pretty much from Baie-Comeau up was gravel.
Yep.
I said, "Carol, I'm not doing gravel. This thing hits a pothole and it just scares the shit out of me. I can't control it. I'm not going on over 1,000 kilometers of gravel with this." And he says, "No, don't worry. We got a van that is going to follow us. It's going to carry everything for us." I said, "My range on this thing is 120 kilometers." It was really 120. And I like, "What? Are you serious? I can't do it." He says, "No, let's go. Let's do it." He says, "Okay, I'm not coming on this. I'm going to follow you up until the pavement ends. And then we'll look at it and you go this way, I go." He's such a pushy guy. He comes in and just says, "No, let's go. And I said, "Okay, fine. I'm just going to go for a little bit and see." And I'm going on this gravel. And soon I learned that when shit hits the fan, open the throttle.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you regain control. And I'm on street tires on gravel.
On a VMAX. Yep. Yeah.
And I'm a new rider.
Yeah.
So at one point, I think I passed him doing like 120, 130 on gravel. And he stops, says, "Wow, you really got a hang of that bike." I says, "No, look at me." I'm like ghost. I had no idea how to stop because every time I wanted to stop, the bike stopped wobbling. So I just open up the gas and
Just keep opening.
keep opening. Next thing you know, you're doing 130. And I managed to get to Goose Bay without crashing.
Right on.
I remember running to two guys were doing the same section. One was on a BMW 1150s, a GS, and the other one was on a KTM 950. And these guys were like, we would leave at the same time in the morning. Like we would leave about like 2 hours ahead of them, and they would just pass us.
Yeah.
Like pass us like doing 140, 150, not even higher. And every day, whoever beats the other one, they had to ride on their bikes as a BMW beat me or KTM beat me or something like that. Again, I didn't know about the rivalry between the
Right.
bikes at the time.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. I mean, that's what adventure is all about, right? I mean, it's that conquering of the fear of the unknown. And it's like I tell my daughter all the time when she's scared of something, I'm like, what are you afraid of? What's on the other side of that fear you got right now? So if you do this thing that you're afraid of, there's nothing on the other side. Worst case scenario, it's absolutely nothing. Best case scenario, it's a really awesome experience.
That's it. It's the journey.
Yeah, it's the journey. So that's cool. That's I don't know. That's a good foreshadowing for kind of where
so
you are
he
now.
stopped at the PI. He had to get home, and I had a couple of days, and he says, Amir, I think you should buy one of these bikes. The way that you ride, you like this. I think you're gonna love these bikes. So why don't you take my bike home? I ride your bike home. So I take his bikes, went to PI.
Did he ever get that bike back?
Well, that's the thing. I immediately fell in love with the bike. I remember going, the Confederation Bridge. It's
Yeah.
about 11 kilometers. I went from a guy who was riding a VMAX, never ridden off-road, and I loved this bike so much. The geometry of it worked for me. It was a S model. Back then they call them S,
Yeah.
not R. I went through the trip just standing the whole time. I was standing and just thinking, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it. Like, I remember that feeling on the middle of the Confederation Bridge, looking at this bike and this whole thing, and I could see I'm going to spend a long time on these bikes. I just turned right back home and learned about ADV Rider. Within a week, I sold the VMAX, got on a car, went to Pittsburgh, found a guy on ADV Rider was selling a 950, bought it, brought it back, and that was the beginning of the...
Right on. I had a very similar experience when I rode my first 990. Same bike, really. As soon as I got
Somebody lend it to you, and then...
Yeah, I had a friend of mine was visiting us in Rome when we were living there, and he was getting his bike serviced. They called, the shop called me up on a Friday and said, hey man, you need to come pick up your bike. And I'm like, oh, well, we're going to come tomorrow. And he's like, well, we're going to be closed till Monday because we're going racing for the weekend. So you need to come pick it up now if you want it before then. And the original plan was they were going to keep traveling and leave the next day sort of thing. So I'm like, oh, okay, I have to go get this bike now. So I rode down on my motorcycle, left my bike at the shop with the idea that I'd get my buddy and double back to pick up my bike later. And when I rode his bike, he's like 6'3", 6'4". He's got big, long legs. And I get on this bike. I was riding a Honda Hornet 600, so street bike. And I get on this 990,
Monster.
and I'm like, oh, I can barely touch the ground. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to make it. But as soon as I was rolling, it was immediately comfortable. And just the difference in, the aggressive street ride position. And I wasn't riding a fully fairing street bike. It had flat bars. Like it was a naked bike. But just the difference in posture and like you say, the geometry of the riding position on that bike, it was like immediately apparent that this is like, I want one of these. This is where I need to be right now. And so I had a blast riding that thing home. And then, hooked up with my buddy and said, yeah, we got to go get my bike back. And he's like, sweet. Why don't you I'll ride back to the shop with you on the back of my bike, and then we'll swap. I'll ride your bike, you ride my bike home. I said, sure, no problem. I'll ride your bike all day long.
I don't want to give it back.
Yeah, it was, but it was great. It's a really cool bike. So, right on.
It is. We were lucky to have that bike because we still don't have any motorcycle that was made for the Dakar.
Right.
And made it into hands of consumers. Like nothing. That's why the shape of that bike is like a dirt bike. We still don't have a big dual sport that the shape of the seat and everything is in a way that you could get really close to the handlebar, just like a dirt bike.
Yeah.
I mean, all the new dual sports, they got a big tank in front of you. They work. The geometry works differently, but they're not made to win a 10,000 kilometer race,
Right.
And win it.
Oh, I know. And the biggest point of frustration for me owning the 990 was when you'd see all the European, our equivalents over in the Europe when they have like direct access to the rally bikes, like direct, they can go buy them off the shop floor. They're super expensive, but you can get them. And it's like, oh man, I wish. Yeah.
And the other thing, those 990s look cool. They really had that look to them,
Yeah.
I liked it.
Still.
Yeah.
I'm never going to sell mine. It's just sitting in our showroom right now, but I'm riding that 1290 and just hate to...
You don't want to get rid of that bike yet.
that 990? Never.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It wasn't... It's the same bike, by the way. This very same bike that I bought back in
Oh, really?
06 or 07. That was a 950. I put 100,000 kilometers on it, and I just found a deal for a motor on Kijiji one day.
Oh, nice.
You know,
Yeah,
just in
yeah.
the morning, you're browsing Kijiji and just like, motor for sale for 990. That was burnt, like in a fire.
Mm-hmm.
And I called the guy, says, well, I'll deliver it to you. I'm in Peterborough for $200. Said, okay. So the guy comes at my door with the motor in the back,
Yeah.
and it was black up top. Top of it is all burnt.
Yeah.
But I could see that I can replace all those things. But the caps were in. I just said, "Oh man, it's not worth $200."
Oh, I thought it'd be in better shape than this.
So I got the motor, and just because of the things that I did with that bike, I really needed to trust the motor.
Yeah.
So I looked up the history. The bike that it was on burned down. Not burned down. Just was in a fire and only had like 6,000 kilometers on it. But he told me that this is was from a SMR. And SMR has a different gear ratios in it. So
Right.
I said, okay, I can't put it in my 950 because the gearing is completely different.
Yeah.
And so open it up, take the gearing from this, put it on the other one, and and my 950 motor, was nothing wrong with it.
Right.
This is what you do when you don't have kids, right?
Yeah.
It's in the middle of the winter, you find an engine.
Oh, yeah.
Let's swap the engine. Let's open it up.
Yeah.
A perfectly working engine.
Yeah. Let's ruin this.
So anyway, long story short, it wasn't an SMR. It was a SMT, which has the same gearbox as the Adventure.
Now you know.
And so I put it back together, actually refreshed the head and everything else, put it on the bike, and I was running my 950 with, made my 950 fuel injected at that point.
Okay. Didn't know you could do that.
I got everything from a 990, wiring harness and everything,
gotcha.
put it on it, and it was a couple of gears inside you have to change for the ignition timing, and you're good. And and then I put the RC8 throttle body on it, and I put the
All right.
things that I did to that bike.
It's a race 950.
Now I call it 990RR. That's why
Yeah.
it's got 280 millimeter travel and suspension.
Oh,
You've
cool.
seen it. That's why it's so tall.
Yeah, that's cool. I like the taller suspension on that bike. A lot of the guys in Australia would put that mod on. You'd kind of make them a little higher because they'd take them out in the outback and thrash them.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know. It looks proper when it's got the higher suspension on it.
That motorcycle is wild. It's
Yeah.
like, it reminds me of not reminds me as if I'm a rancher. Like it's like a stallion
Yeah.
that you never fully tamed.
Yep.
Yeah,
You bareback it and
it's still wild.
Yeah.
You can't.
If it wants to kill you,
sometimes
it'll
it just
kill you.
doesn't listen to you.
Yeah. Well, there's no turning it down, right? It's not like the modern KTM adventure bikes where you can kind of go, we're going to go to off-road mode today because we don't
rain
need
mode.
Oh no.
the 150 horses on the trail.
So that's the thing when you say that. We spend the 3 healthy days with Chris Birch and at KTM Rally in Quebec this year, which was fantastic. I was talking to him because he was so into 950 Super Enduro, which is another beast, and he owned one. He secretly told me he sold it recently, but shh.
We'll beep that out.
So his analogy was that I said, okay, Chris, you love those bikes, and now you're on these factory bikes, and they give it to you, and they're supposed to be saying these are the best and greatest, and which is like normal. But what do you really think of the 990? Wasn't that the best dual sport ever made? He said no, because I couldn't ride it the way I wanted to, because his analogy was he said this before we start the rally. Kind of ruined the whole rally in my head. He says that he said 990 is like a motorcycle that you're riding, and you're just saying, I want 20% power right now. He said, no, you're getting 80. Whoa, let's go. And it says, okay, I want to slow down. I want 20%. No, we're stopping. Boom. Just like, and there's no modulation. It's like either full throttle or full brake, and it's like that wild horse.
Right.
Yeah. And after riding it, that thought was in my head the whole rally, going through the snowmobile trail and all that. Just like, yeah, he's got a point.
Yeah, maybe I'm romanticizing it because I haven't ridden one in forever. Like I sold my 990 in like, oh God, probably 6-7 years ago. Like it's been a while.
Well, it is still a lot of fun to ride, and it's more capable than pretty much any other dual sport motorcycle out there.
Well, the first place I took my 990, the very first place I rode that motorcycle was the single track in Limerick. So we had I don't know what I was thinking. Friends of mine that had Honda CRF 250s, they're like, hey, we're going dirt bike riding. Do you want to come with us? I said, sure.
It is a giant dirt bike.
It is a giant dirt bike.
Especially the Super Enduro. The 950 Super Enduro, if you look at it, it's a 1,000cc dirt bike.
Yeah. So I took this thing in a single track, and I fell over a bunch of times, but I was totally able to ride it.
Yeah.
As a novice rider at the time, I hadn't really done any off-road riding. That was my first off-road bike since I was, very little, riding, my cousin's dirt bike at the cottage sort of thing.
Yeah, you could not hurt that bike.
No.
I mean, you could drop it and, do everything you want to it, and, nothing would happen. Like sometimes I, switch bike with guys on the trail and says, yeah, okay, I'll be careful. I won't drop it. I know you love this. There's nothing you can do to that bike I haven't done already.
Right.
It's upside down, sideways, dragging.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever had it underneath the trailer going upside down?
Actually, I broke my back on that bike.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Wow. Broke my back, neck, skull, the whole shebang.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There's got to be a story behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not far from here in Halliburton, like 10 years ago.
Did a guy in a V-Strom cut you off?
Wasn't me.
Well, no, it was my own fault. It was right after rain. I pulled over and just said, this rear brake needs to be a little bit, I don't know, higher or lower or whatever. I did the adjustment, and I made a mistake of not, practicing with it just a little bit, just to train my subconscious that where the rear brake is, where it engages now. And so going around a turn, I thought that I'm tapping the rear brake, but I was like locking it.
Oh, gotcha.
So I just spun around, and then another truck came in and hit me.
Wow.
And so the
Wow.
Terrible story.
no, it was not that. The ending was not. That's tragic that happened, but I healed very quickly. I was living in a yoga ashram at the time. I was fairly fit when it came to my back, so that helped.
Well,
Really,
there's a place you're going to be to get better with your back. That's probably a pretty good place.
Yeah,
In a yoga ashram.
I was heavy into that stuff back then, and I remember that I was in Halliburton Hospital, and they say this is really serious. We have to send you to Sunnybrook in Toronto, and we're going to use a helicopter because you can't put you on an ambulance. And I was thinking, what about my bike?
Yeah. Can you lift my bike?
Well,
Is there a way we can get
at
that?
this point, I'm on a lot of drugs, right?
Yeah.
So the doctor is looking at me and says, your bike is fine. We'll take care of your bike. Don't worry. And they were going to take my rally gear off of me. I remember I paid a lot of money for those. I didn't have money back then, but I couldn't afford buying normal stuff, but I paid $1,200 for a jacket.
Right.
The only thing fit me back then was the BMW jacket.
So is that why you're living in a yoga
Right.
ashram? Because you're spending all your money
Exactly.
on rally gear?
Yeah. No, it was, I had to take the BMW patch off of that BMW jacket.
To ride the KTM.
And I put a KTM on it. And sometimes people with BMW would see me. I just did not
Do a little double take, like what the?
Are you for real?
Right.
Hell
You're
the-
not supposed to do that.
Yeah. So they were trying to cut it off you?
They made long tall sizes, like long arms,
Yeah.
long. And I'm a tall, skinny guy, so it fit me perfectly.
Right.
So that's why I ended up buying that.
And
Anyway,
in
so the
hospital,
doctor
they were going to cut it off you or what?
Yeah, they were gonna cut it. I was like with the broken back. I got up and just like 5 people jumped on me. I said, "Get down now!
Not the jacket.
Don't
You're
cut
not
it.
even moving." I said, "Okay, we won't cut it. Just take it." And so the doctor told me, "Don't worry, we take care of your bike." So I'm thinking, I don't know what possessed me to think that way. I said they're gonna take me with the helicopter to Sunnybrook, and they're gonna take my bike with the helicopter.
Natural
So
assumption.
in the helicopter, I'm high, as high as a kite. And just like, I'm thinking, we're flying, and then the bike is hanging under me. The 950s, I'm like 20 feet below, just hanging, flying to Toronto. And then I remember asking the nurses, "How are you gonna land with the 950 at the bottom? You gotta be gentle, okay?"
He's probably wondering what the hell you're talking about.
What is a
he
950? That's good.
He is high.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Good
funny.
drugs. And that's the same bike, and it survived.
Yeah, the same bike, and actually nothing happened to the bike. Just subframe bent, and I changed subframe, and all good.
Good.
I was gonna ask if the doctor gave it back to you with 5,000 more kilometers on it.
Yeah.
He took care of your bike, all
Don't
right.
worry. You'll get it back.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't. Knock on wood. I haven't had any big offs like that. So
Yeah, knock on some wood there,
yeah.
buddy, before our big trip.
Well, you're gonna have to keep your eye on me, Jason Milne.
Yeah, I know. I might put a leash between my bike and his, hold
Like a
him back.
tether?
Yeah. Or one of those
Actually,
remotes.
there's
you
a
can
new
get.
product we're working on that is for towing motorcycle.
Yeah.
That the rope is kind of elastic.
Perfect.
That
is
they
gonna work.
use it for off-road vehicles.
Yeah.
Mm.
That they call it. What do they call it? It's a good word for it. That kinetic ropes.
Oh, okay.
You've seen how these guys take each
Yeah,
other's out?
100%.
It's just
They pull.
It's
They pull really
crazy.
hard, and it just springs them. And basically, springs
So
them
the
out
guy
of
in the front just
it. Goes.
they hook up the rope, and the guy in the front just takes off
Yeah.
like flat out.
But what happens to the slack once he's rolling? Does
It's
it
like a big
take? Does
bungee,
it take
basically.
itself
It's
up?
not like a spring that the
Right.
next guy would just hits
Yeah.
in the ass. No,
Yeah.
and but it will take off, and it loads up the rope, and it just pulls the other guy out of it, and it comes out.
Gotcha. Okay.
And basically it's kinetic energy
Nice.
built into, you store energy in the rope, and it just kind of pulls.
So it's
the other
not
guy.
like an abrupt.
It's
yaw.
not abrupt. No, that's the thing. With the
Right.
normal rope, you would just take their whole front end off.
Yeah.
Mm. Cool.
So we're trying to test to see if that thing would work on the
Right.
big bikes.
Cool.
You need one of
It's a
those.
great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need one of those. We'll just do it a half kilometer long so that
Yeah.
Sean can just stay just half kilometer ahead.
Whoa. Fuel economy.
Yeah, check it out.
Slow
Yeah,
down.
Slow down.
So once you've you're starting to put some time on your 950. Where are we going from there?
990 RR.
990. Oh yeah, that's right. We've modified it. The 990 RR. So when do you get the idea for triple clamp? Is that a ways off yet, or is
No,
starting
that
to
was
form?
part of it. We started designing. When I say we, was myself, Alon Gat, and Paul Fenn. That was two very good friends of mine, that we got together, and we said that we got all these cool ideas that we want to make, and every one of us brought a different thing to the table, and that's where Triple Clamp comes from. It was three of us.
Nice. Oh, nice.
And to his credit, Paul came up with a name. He's a screenwriter, and that's his job.
Okay.
He's a genius with things like that. We started making like design the products, and I knew how to design them on the computer and all that. These guys would just help with the ideas. I'm going back and forth. Next thing you know, we have bought a 3D printer. We got, other things that we were making, like we made a headlight for the Super Enduro. We made a bracket for the back of the Super Enduros because we were braking, and we designed that air filter system, and I kept on growing. Next thing, we have like a bunch of products that we just needed a full-time staff to just be able to handle it.
That's
and
cool.
We started about 6 years ago, and initially, up until last couple of years, most of our sales, if pretty much 90% of our sales, was outside of Canada.
Okay, interesting.
And it was just through forums and Facebooks, that other people posting that people would know about us, and then they would just say, "Oh, that's a cool product. I want that," and they go on our website and buy it.
So how are you guys finding these kind of these, for lack of a better word, problem areas on various bikes? Like, was it
our own bikes?
So it's just from owning your own bikes?
We don't sell products that we don't test or ride ourselves.
Okay, because you guys make product for a number of bikes now. So
right.
I mean, obviously that
We
follow that
we
you
bought
have all
all of
those
them.
bikes, right?
It's a darn good
bought-
excuse to buy every bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's exactly. So we bought a 790, and then we bought a 1090 and a 1290 and a 10RA, and all of those. We bought them to make parts for them, and we sold them. So I get to test ride and
So the
ride them.
true origin story for Triple Clamp is they're all sitting around
How
going,
can we
how
figure out
how
how
can
to
we
buy every bike?
Can I
How can
buy
we-
a bike?
we need to buy one of every bike. How do we make that happen?
Yeah,
Yeah. And what do we tell the wives?
Exactly.
it's for business.
It's for business.
Business expense.
What kind of
Bye.
business?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of how Valley
I
Rally started.
highly
100%.
recommend it. Yes.
Yes.
But a lot of people out there have great ideas. It doesn't take much. Just execute it. Go on and make it. Find, if you need help, we can help, or go on, start with that. These days, the resources available to an individual is incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty
Like
wild.
one person can have thousands of followers. We don't really think about it, but we didn't have this.
Yeah.
I mean, even 15, 20 years ago, something like this was just unheard of.
Oh yeah. I mean, a number of years ago, Jason had a magazine called Rider's Quest
Yeah.
that he put out, and that was all word of mouth,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And there was no social media. There was, you were taking out ads in papers, or you were like, that's how it worked back then. And that wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't. I hit the streets, and I drove all over Ontario.
Like, what was that, like 10 years ago? Not even?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah.
To just give
Give away these. The first few magazines were free, and I would just give them in every shop, every convenience, and just get them out there. And that's how I did that. I drove everywhere getting the name out. And and it worked. It's
Yeah.
a lot easier now.
A lot easier now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's this, but when 10 years ago we only had forums.
Right.
Right.
It was
Yep.
forums, and
Yep.
which was great. I miss it because it was a lot more. It was
personal.
searchable. It was searchable. It was searchable. You
Yeah.
could just look up stuff from a long time ago.
You didn't get a lot of noise
Yeah.
on the forums, right?
Well, you
Like,
did, yeah.
I mean, like if you go on social media, it's like you have to. I mean, I've done a pretty good job at curating most of my Facebook stuff to be mostly bike related.
Mm-hmm.
But because everybody's got that crazy family member that
I don't.
has wacky, and it's like because you're friends with that person, you kind of get the odd cuckoo
You get
post
the
about Donald
yeah,
Trump
yeah.
or something like that.
Anti-vax
Yeah.
post.
And so it's like, okay, yep. But by and large, you kind of have to work at that. But otherwise, there's lots of this social noise going on. If you go down that road, you just have to be very disciplined and focused with those tools.
Well, the forums were the cumbersome part of it was just if you wanted to learn about something, it was like thousands of pages that you just got to go through and read it. It says, this is a useful information.
Yeah.
And just go on and on and on. But beside that, it was a great way of documenting stuff. Well, we were talking about it earlier that we had on ADV Writer. Sometimes I go back and I look at my own post. I can see the evolution of myself
Right.
knowing absolutely nothing about
Wow, I didn't know anything back
950,
then.
990.
Yeah.
And my questions, I'm just like, oh my God. Where was I?
So which side of
What
the
tire
99
should
do
I
I
use?
put
Yeah.
gas in?
I wasn't that kind of a nail, but it was like what tire, what oil, and all. We've all
Yeah,
been there,
yeah.
and people shouldn't be. Like
Ashamed
some
of
people
that,
ask these questions these days, and others just laugh at them. I just like
Yeah, for
sometimes people just don't know, right?
sure. 100%.
Like,
Yeah.
You
it's
don't know.
another oil thread, another like they
Yeah.
make fun of these things, but I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I learned.
We're all there.
Well, it's
And
like
There's
when
nothing
you,
wrong with it.
when you first start out with anything, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And how you solve that problem is you ask questions, and if the questions have been asked 1,000
That's
times,
such a sweet
then,
part to be. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's provided you have nice people helping you out with good answers, as opposed to, you know, the standard answer that you tend to run into later in the years. It's like, why don't you search it, douchebag? Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's like,
You seen that website that says
No.
"Let me Google that for you"? Have you seen
haven't
it?
seen
It's a abbreviation of this. Let me Google that for you. You just go on and type something up. Says, "What's the best oil for KTM 990 Adventure 2004?" Blah blah blah. And then you press the button, and it gives you a URL. You post that URL, and whoever clicks on it, a Google page comes up, and the mouse goes on the search box and just start typing. What's the best oil for KTM? Blah 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 blah, blah and goes click search, and the Google search comes up.
Oh,
that's
man. That's good.
That is,
well, at least there's some humor in that, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Hilarious.
pretty
I
funny.
recently got into track bikes. I'm just out of curiosity and just loved it, and it felt the same. I just didn't know anything.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I felt I came from a little bit of that world before I went into adventure bike riding. I had a couple of Ducatis, and although I never had the opportunity to take them to the track, I did live in Italy, which is kind of like being at the track, especially when you get outside the cities. But anyways, I've always felt that like I showed up at Calabogie one day, just the racetrack, just to see what it looked like, because I'd never been there. I heard there was a racetrack up there, and I was riding. So I rolled in, and it happened to be a track day, and just because of the bike I was on, and you know, I had an X-Lite helmet, which at the time you couldn't get them in Canada. You could only get them in Europe, and
It wasn't rated, huh?
well, it was ECE.
Okay.
But they weren't selling. The only Nolan product you could get was like their it was like a touring helmet or something like that. But they weren't selling their street bike track helmets. At any rate, I had this one, and right away some guy pointed me out. He's like, "Hey, where'd you get that helmet?" I'm like, "Oh, I just came back from overseas." Well, he's like, "That's sweet, man. I'd love to get that helmet. You can't get it anywhere here." I was like, "Oh, really?" Like, I had no idea. And then so we just started talking and chit-chatting, and then his enthusiasm for track riding was just spilling out of him. Like, I barely had to ask him questions. He was right there, ready to answer. I'm like, "Hey, so what do you need to do?" He's like, "Oh, man, you should totally get into this." And I'm like, "Well, what about tires?" "Oh, no problem, man. This is what you do. This is what you do." And so, you know, it was just, he's really enthusiastic and really welcoming. And there wasn't, and I think part of that might come with the fact that there's higher consequence to track riding versus doodling around.
You think so?
Well, maybe it's perceived, and it's mitigated to a large degree, because you've been to a track day. I haven't been, but I know the score from researching a lot. You have to go through your paces. They don't just let anybody on the track.
Exactly.
Like, you have to.
Yeah.
You have to make sure that you're a safe rider, and you have
You're
to
in a
prove
very
that.
controlled environment. Mic is falling off again.
Oh my God.
Hey,
You're fired.
where is
Jimmy.
our service guy?
Where's our service guy? We need to up our budget here a little bit on the show.
It's the table is the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I don't know. I think that just, like everything, it's probably not the only reason, but I think it has something to do with it. That being said, though, I think adventure bike riders they can be very welcoming as well, right? Especially when there's a journey to be had,
Oh yeah, the adventure riding. I think you get the best bang for the buck.
Yeah.
For your motorcycle.
I think so, too.
When you go on the track, you just spend so much time and
Mm-hmm.
energy and money, all the things that you buy and things that boxes you have to check.
Yeah.
Never mind hauling your bike all the way there. And Calabogie is from Toronto. What is it, like 6 hours? I'm going there again in 2 weeks, but it's you got to go there with the camper, and you got. You want your bike to be in tip-top shape. I take 2 bikes because one breaks down. There goes the weekend.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's it.
Sorry, wife. I need 2 bikes.
Yeah.
I know. I get it.
Yeah, it's for business.
Yeah, my buddy Adam was
Testing.
We break something.
My buddy Adam used to track his R1 all the time, and I was just sitting down with him, and he's telling me all about it and what you need, and I'm like, well, how much does that cost? And I'm like, okay, I'm like making a mental note, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is expensive.
And how much are you end up using? How much do you use it for?
Right. Yeah.
You go on a track, you go 20 minutes every hour. We get 4 sessions in the morning, 3-4 sessions in the afternoon. That's the day.
Yeah.
And if it rains, too bad.
Yeah.
You just sit there, watch your bike, and the $300-400 that you paid for the day is just gone.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure it's an amazing experience. And
it is. It is.
Yeah,
It is like there's. I still do it. I'd still do
100%.
it. But what I'm trying to say is that comparing to adventure bike or even a dirt bike, you with your adventure bike you get a lot more
100%.
saddle time.
Yeah.
And you ride right out of your house.
Mm-hmm.
You can pretty much go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a sport bike. You are comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You can go across Canada, go on snowmobile trails, go on a motocross track if you really want to.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And the bike can do it. Like when that 990, every time I ride it after all these years, I feel like it keeps telling me, "Is that all you got? Is that all you got?"
That is those things.
Now
with those
watch
bikes.
this.
I'm giving you 100% all the time, and you're giving me what?
Yeah.
20.
You're the weak link here.
Just say,
person.
do you want to go up the trees? Do you want to go up the trees? How about that boulder?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now that you have your 990 RR, where are you taking that thing on trips? What's the big trips that you've gone through?
You've seen the 1290.
Mm-hmm.
I waited. Let's talk about that a little bit because I think it deserves that. KTM went through after making the 990, which was a great bike. It has its own flaws, and but they made the 1190, which was the basically RC8 engine, and it was a good bike. Came with shitty suspension that didn't help introducing that bike at all. Had some heating problem. Riders getting really hot, and they solved them little by little. And then they made the 790, which if you go back on the forums, people have been asking for it.
Yeah.
700cc range V-twin lighter.
Yep.
990. And I said, make this smaller, lighter, but still V-twin. And they made an inline twin with the same firing pattern as the V-twin. That's why it sounds the same.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great, but I just 790 never really, for me, I just never accepted that look.
Yeah.
It was a great bike.
Roddy Garage makes a really nice fairing for it that makes it look kind of like the not this generation of rally bike, but the previous generation where the screen was a little more curved as opposed to kind of straight.
Right.
And,
I have one of those screens. I've been meaning to somehow shoehorn it on one of my bikes.
But it makes both the 790 and 890 look proper. And it
Right.
and it doesn't just do the headlight; it incorporates the tanks as well, so it's all nice.
Right.
one
You've
piece.
seen Etienne's
Yep.
690.
Yep. So it's very similar to that.
That he has that
Yeah.
kit. He has that fairing in the
Yeah.
front.
Beautiful.
That's our sponsored rider.
Mm-hmm.
He promised that he's going to Dakar.
He's quite quick on that thing.
Oh yeah, he's fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He did silver class at Dacre this year, and I think, and I was talking to him when he got to our checkpoint, and I'm like, man, you're killing it out there. I think you need to class up next year. He's like, yeah, I agree. I got freaked out at the last minute, and I wasn't sure that I'd be able to do gold class. And I'm like, no, I think
You'd be
you'd
okay.
be okay.
Didn't he finish like 5 hours ahead of everyone else?
Yeah, something stupid like that.
Yeah, he finished 5 hours
Yeah, he was very quick on the silver course.
in the silver course.
Yep.
Yeah.
His second place was 5 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he blew that engine because he basically went through the finish line without no oil in his engine.
On the Dacre.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You had a slow leak somewhere. He was going so flat out that they didn't even notice it.
They burn oil when you push them.
Yeah.
Tumpers are, you can't rev them very hard. Like, if anything, 690 and the 701 or the newer 690s are the engines to push, but they're still a tumper.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, KTM 790 and then later 890 are fantastic bikes. I never thought that they can really replace the 990 for me.
Mm.
It never tickled me just the same way. I had it for about a year, and then the 1090 came out. 1090 was very promising. Like, what do you have?
Mm-hmm.
And was supposed to be the lighter version of the 890, heavier crank, better for off-road. And I had it, but again, I'd never felt on it after a year of riding. I never felt like this is a replacement for my giant-ass dirt bike.
Right.
Yeah.
And the 1290, the older generation 1290s, were great. Lots of power, but really top heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't on like snowmobile tracks and all that. It just became like a beast. They didn't want to drop that bike, and it was like pushing a behemoth through the
Yeah.
mud and stuff like that. But then this new 1290 that they made, I think KTM has made a leap forward. The new Super Adventure R, the one that, for those who don't know, it's the 2021 plus models, which first came out in Europe and last year it came out in Canada and the US. They made some major, not major, so they went back basically to the drawing board and just said, okay, we've been making mistakes, some bad things about these motorcycles for over 10 years. Let's fix them.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was that the the product that we make, head straight, is the one that braces the headlight, because the headlight pins break where the headlight attaches to the body. On the 790, 890, 1190, the older 1290s, your 1090s, they're all like that. They got this little flimsy 5mm pins that are welded right in their neck on the steering column, and they're threaded on both ends. And your entire headlight assembly, the whole front, headlight, dash, everything is bolted to those two.
Yeah.
And they, after a while, just snap. A lot of people lose the bolts on there because they come out, they get loose.
Yeah, you lost one last ride.
Yeah, because there's just so much stress there
Yeah.
on those two little pins, and they keep breaking. And it was when the 790 came out, I couldn't believe that they just did the same thing. Went back and did the exact same thing they did on the 1090 and 1190. They made the same thing, and up until now, the new 1290, they beefed that up. That's why we didn't make it for that bike.
Right.
What about
We
the new
have-
890? Is it the same?
Exact same.
Okay.
Even 890 Rally,
Yeah.
all of them.
Huh.
So we have a product line called Head Straight that it's a fairly cheap product for what it does. is that it braces those pins back to the body of the bike. And there's a different one for every motorcycle. And in case of a 1090 1190s, it also can double as a mount for the Scott steering damper,
Gotcha.
which is we're the only one in the world that makes that, something like that for those bikes.
Cool.
And not for the 790 890. There are other guys, because a simpler product it is as
Right.
well. But
So-
the 1290 is incredible.
Yeah.
They solved that issue. The the air filter. In your bike, you guys know you have to take the whole tank out
Yeah.
just
Big
to
production.
get to the. Yeah, and it's an adventure bike, man.
Yep.
You need to check the air filter on it. It's not a sport bike.
That's part of the adventure, is taking your bike apart to change the air filter. Yeah.
So they made a little glove box up top. You take the glove box, 4 screws, and 2 screws comes. You see the cap for the air filter comes out.
Nice. Yeah, that's clever.
They changed the radiator. They made 2 radiators in it as opposed to 1 big one to disperse the heat differently. They made the swing arm longer and the frame shorter by I think about an inch or something like that.
Interesting.
And the biggest change in terms of geometry, I think, was the tank.
Yeah.
They made the tank similar to the 790, KTM 790, because now most of the fuel is below your knee.
Maybe that explains. So when you had your 1290 at Dacre, and you're like, yeah, sit on it, see what you think. And so when I was, I rode around the parking lot, and as soon as I stood up on that motorcycle, I felt like I was out of the bike, like you are on a dirt bike, like you're out in the open. Whereas on the 1090, it's less so. You still kind of feel like you're in behind the motorcycle, more than the 1290. And now that you mentioned the tank, I'm wondering if that might have
Maybe
something
that's
to do.
the one. And the frame also. The frame puts you a little bit more forward.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
And I still can't put my finger on why, but that 1290 feels so light.
Right.
It feels so nimble on its feet. I mean, I took it on the trails, and it was just beautiful. I mean, I dare to say quietly that it may be a replacement for a 990 after all. I mean, the seat is still the same. You can't really get to the front, but
Does it give you that tickle?
yeah.
Yes.
And on the road, oh my God.
It's nice.
On the road, oof, it's just the power delivery on that thing is incredible.
Well, what Chris is able to do on a 1300cc motorcycle on that thing,
Yeah, I was right beside him.
like it's
on that-
bananas.
when they were shooting that video, he was standing right beside me.
Yeah.
And I asked him, "What do you think of Canada?" And all that. He just said, "Mud."
Yeah.
It seems to be a lot of mud here. And then he got his bike after we all went through, and he went through that section of the mud. The video. Maybe you should put it on their thing, on their
Right.
video.
Yeah, it's
that
wild.
little
I'll
section.
put a link.
And I shot a video of the cameraman who was shooting that whole stretch.
Oh, did you?
The guy was they were professionals.
Mm-hmm.
But Chris went through that section that we were all struggling. It was about 2 feet of mud at some point.
Oh yeah, it looked very, very deep.
Yeah.
And he's not a big guy.
No, he's not like a muscular guy.
No, he's not a
Yeah.
muscular. He's tall, but he's not
Yeah.
muscular. It was just he was dancing on top of that bike and just went through that. He was flat out. That's the one thing that I just.
Right.
Yeah.
You see the mud that was shooting.
Oh yeah.
Well, there's two things if I could have two takeaways in relation to what we were just talking about from anything Chris Birch related. So whether going to the courses, as him as my instructor, or watching his stuff that he's put out recently, it's number one, he's definitely a proponent of getting that power in and then using the clutch to distribute said power. That's
Control.
It's one of his big things. The other huge takeaway, and this is something I try to impart on people that we're helping with, and whether we're giving them some off-road riding tips or training or whatever, is don't be afraid to let the bike dance underneath you.
Exactly.
It's going to. Like, it's off-road. The bike's going to move around. On the street, that's super scary. But on loose surfaces, that's just what needs to happen. Yeah. So the sooner you get used to that, the better day you're going to have. And the more control you'll have too. So yeah, I could totally relate, like just seeing that bike move around so much. But man, like I hear what you're saying though, like the power that was coming out of that motorcycle and just slamming that mud out of the way.
See, that's the thing. That's the difference between a dirt bike and an adventure bike, in my point of view. That with a dirt bike, somebody said it to me a long time ago. I remember that he has said, with a dirt bike, you see a loose rock. You see a rock there, you know, you just go around it. With the big bike, you won't go around, you just go through because your bike will move it, but the dirt bike gets shot out, right? Yeah. And with the obstacles on the trails with the big bikes is that you would have to use the weight of the bike to your advantage.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Yeah, so you would just kind of just put it, you know, in a simple form, you ram things, ram into it, and you use the momentum, the inertia to just go through things because you're pretty much riding the same tire as that dirt bike with a lot more weight. So your traction is not more. Right. You got the same traction, but a lot more weight. You can't, you're losing here. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So using the momentum helps quite a bit.
Oh, for sure. And even just, you know, the engine braking that's involved in a bigger motorcycle as well. That's something when I first started going to lighter dirt bikes, especially two-strokes. You know,
two-stroke.
You go to engine brake and it's like, whoa, there's nothing here. Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. That's for sure.
So yeah, that 1290 Super Adventure R is a very promising motorcycle. I think this one I will keep. We already made a steering damper mount kit for it.
Okay. Did you notice how he whispered that? If his wife's listening.
Well, actually, my wife is in love with the bike now.
Yeah. So you might have a fight on his hands.
Yeah, we're going on the roaming rally ride. Which we are a sponsor, but I offered it to my wife. Just let's go, and she said okay, but I'll take the 1290. And I'm gonna be on the 990 like a hooligan, and then doing donuts around her. Right
on. So you just mentioned the steering damper, for the 1290. Is there anything else you guys have kind of figured out for that particular bike?
I think they definitely need some sort of. This is something that we should have done a long time ago. They do need a better air filter system, that it just does those bikes justice. A paper or a flimsy foam filter just doesn't cut it. There are companies that make foam filters, but have none of them actually. I found that this is the one that I can 100% trust.
Right.
So we will be working on that. We have engine covers for them already. The steering damper mount, we make it for all the KTMs. The one we make for the 1290, no one else in the world has made it.
Okay.
So there are a couple of other things that are coming down the pipe.
Well, if there's any Chris Birch followers that have kind of linked up with us in New Zealand because of our interview with him earlier, hey, if you're riding one of those KTMs and you need a steering damper on.
Well, Chris hates steering dampers.
Wow.
He outright told me that no steering dampers. No, so says the bike has a steering damper. He says no. And then he also doesn't like it that moving the position of the handlebar anywhere or any rise or something. I keep telling
he likes handlebar risers.
You don't with our kit you can put it on and keep the handlebar same height. Not move it anywhere. He is involved with another company that makes steering dampers in New Zealand, so you can just you can't really. There's a lot of other things going on there, but we're not going to get into. But I highly recommend his videos.
Yeah.
To say no to slow, they are we are so lucky to have someone like that puts the time to make videos like that, and because not everybody can take his classes.
Yeah.
Some of us have been lucky too, but
Yeah, they definitely did a good job with that. We've got both their adventure bike and their enduro series, and it's money well spent, that's for sure.
It is, yeah. And we're going to have something soon that we're going to give away his subscription to his videos if you buy so much products from us, like $1 million or something.
$1 million
Nice.
and you get a free Chris Birch?
Yeah, you get
Awesome.
a free
Deal.
Chris Birch.
That's a deal.
Video.
Like an actual Chris Birch.
Yeah.
I think for $1 million he would
There he is for a week. Take him.
come to your house.
Chris, if you're listening, we'll send you the contract shortly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's cool.
It was, for me, it was very informative because I watched his videos and, I had questions and all that. And when I went to his classes, I just tried to forget everything I knew and tried to focus on exactly what it says. And he's got a method that you can see that he has worked on it.
Yeah. He's
The way
picked it
that-
apart, hasn't he?
Exactly.
He's
And
like
he
an engineer like you, but he in his videos, he picks it right apart so that he can teach it right, people understand it, and it makes perfect
Exactly.
sense.
He's very articulate. He knows what to tell you, and he knows what to tell different people.
Yeah. Yep.
And the way that he says you have to position your foot on the pegs and you keep your shins perpendicular to the ground, and and how to position your body, your bum, and your hands and everything. It all makes sense, and he tells you why
Yeah.
Right.
he wants you to do that. And you need to develop new muscles
Yeah.
to
for
be
sure
able
you
to
do.
do those things properly if you really want to do them all day long.
Yeah.
You do to a certain extent, but I was of the same opinion purely, but my position on that particular thing has changed a little bit, and I'll tell you why. It's kind of like I don't know, like if you're doing the technique just like maybe a fraction out of position, you're recruiting muscle groups that don't need to be recruited. So
The position is wrong. If you're hurting,
Yeah,
technically
pretty
your
much,
position
typically,
is wrong.
I would say more often than not, yes. There is you're right in the sense that when you first start doing it, it's an awkward feeling, and your body kind of fights it until you get used to it. But once you
Right.
get used to it, it gets more comfortable. But if you let's say I would bet anybody any money, 9 times out of 10, if you're trying this, the Chris Birch thing, you're like, oh yeah, my back hurts or this hurts while I'm doing it. Film yourself.
That's what he said.
Film yourself.
His
and
wife
wa-
does.
and watch
Monica
it.
does.
Yeah, and watch it and see. I guarantee you're probably going to find you're not quite in the position you think you're in.
Right.
Like your shins are probably a little bit forward, and they're not, instead of perpendicular. So kind of the reason I know this is I've been teaching my wife. I've been how to ride off road lately. Yeah. It's going surprisingly well. I thought I was a dead man, but she's typically resistant. But I got her to the point where she was like, it's really uncomfortable, and I'm watching her ride around, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna film it. So she's
You
riding
think
around.
you're doing it right, but
And I'm showing
what you
her,
think you are, you're not there. Yeah.
I'm like, look at your shins. Your knees are forward, and your shins are pointing towards the front of the bike.
That's happened to me at the
Yeah.
rally. I was after this course. We were riding, and Chris was right behind me. He was riding. I was riding my bike. No pressure.
no
I was just
pressure.
like, okay. I thought I'm okay. I'll get the posture right. Get the posture. Knees straight. Grab. Don't move. Get knees forward is the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Knees back. And I just moved my knees back and close the door, shut the door with your bum, and keep your elbows up. And so I feel like I'm doing it right. And he comes right beside me and says, "Put your knees back!" Yeah, just like yelling at me while he's riding. I can feel that he just was behind me and it was looking at me and says, "I can't take it anymore. I just got." And I was like, "What? They're back, man!" And Well, that filming is a great idea. He told me that he gets his wife to film people on their iPad, and then put the pictures of him on the bike and the rider. I think he says that they got an app or something that put it side by side on superimposed. Nice. Then you can see exactly where you're doing it wrong.
Yeah,
it works. It works every time I get on the bike. On that last week we were doing a rock hound, and some sections I tried doing it.
Yeah,
just the way that he wants to.
Mm-hmm.
And you can feel all of a sudden you're going faster.
Right, and not just that, but your back isn't as achy, or your legs aren't shaking anymore because they're holding up your body.
And your arms are not what going to carry you. That's the most important thing. That people end up with, going riding off road for a while, they get arm pumps.
Yeah.
If you're getting arm pumps, means that you're not grabbing the bike. With your leg.
Yeah, you should be holding on mostly with your legs.
That's
I mean, you should be able to let go of those handlebars and hold your body up and not fall over.
And then when you accelerate, lean forward before you accelerate.
Yeah,
or lean back before you brake. And so his video is full of these things. I highly recommend this to people. And hopefully we're going to have this. I've already bought a whole bunch of his videos that we're going to figure out a way to include it with the Triple Clamp Moto orders so we can promote them in Canada.
Very cool.
I mean, it can only make the riding scene better, in my opinion. I mean, especially the adventure bike community. I mean, I hate to pick on them, but there's some funny tendencies with
bar risers, a lot of towers like.
Oh yeah.
The other day I was on Facebook, just browsing around, and I come across, or no, was it Instagram? Anyways, the ABR, the Adventure Bike Festival that's in the UK.
Yeah. I almost went there.
Yeah. So there was a video, and it was their resident, quote unquote experts on adventure bike riding, and they have this guy. The bike is on its center stand, and they're doing a clinic on riding position, and they got this guy on the bike, and they're filming this, and they're like, all right, you need to be elbows locked, very straight position, nice and comfortable, nice and high, and you want the foot peg locked right into the heel of your boot, and all this.
What?
Oh yeah, and I'm like.
Your toes pointing out as far as it goes.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure that's what. I'm actually pretty sure that's what they said.
I broke my ankle like that once.
So I'm like, this has got to be a joke. So I'm looking into the comments, and there's people going, guys, like, this is all wrong. Like, what are you doing? This is not how you ride a motorcycle. And then just comment after comment after comment, and then the original post, like the guy who posted it, was like, I guess he tagged his partner, like his teaching partner, and he's like, Rory, I guess we've been teaching motorcycle riding wrong for the past 7 years, eh? And I'm like,
yeah.
You have, actually.
Yeah, you have. So I grabbed the link and I sent it to Lee Martin, and I'm like, you got to check this out. And he's like, what is it? And I go, it's hilarious. Just watch it.
It's the next level, Chris.
And level 3.
Well, I don't know
he
if
came back and was like, what the hell is this? And I'm like, I don't know, man. But
I don't know, the method that Chris teaches is, correct me, I don't really know that if it's he came up with that himself, or is it something that was born out of the heavy enduro and motocross, and he perfected it, and he adapted it to the
it's
dual
definitely
sport
both,
bikes.
I think.
Yeah, we talked about it when he was on the podcast, and so essentially he came up riding with some old school greats. Like there was a couple Swedish riders or Finnish riders, I think, and Europeans, and he learned from them. But then he took those riding, those techniques, refined them over the years, and then
by teaching his mom, I think is what he said.
Yeah. So his parents are avid riders.
Yeah,
and
I love that. I've
just
seen the video.
And they're still riding.
The whole
apparently.
family riding together. I love that.
Yeah.
And he literally said, like, my mom would ask me, how do you do this? And then so he would go through the motions and teach her, and she would give him feedback, and that's kind of how he developed his process. Yeah. And but also because he is an engineer by trade, and he had that analytical mind to kind of
Pick it all apart.
deconstruct what is this technique? What makes this technique good? What is it about this technique that is making riding work?
Right.
You know, so
Well, he explains that, and it makes a lot of sense. The things that he says in the video, in the courses, is that if you take in his courses, that explains why you do all of those things. And Lee Martin does he basically teaches the same techniques, and you can see that classic things they do, that they get on a bike with your bum off of it and get someone in the back to push you.
right.
Says, see, if I sit this way, you can push me forward and I can't stop you. But if the other way, I don't even have to hold on to the handlebars, but you can't push me.
Right.
So which one is better?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's done it right, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I've taken the Paul Bolton course, and he's a great teacher, fantastic guy, like amazing dude. You know, you just want to hang out with Paul. But amazing rider, good teacher. But in terms of a curriculum, and I think Paul was just kind of starting out his kind of like his teaching courses at the time. Like he'd been doing it, but not as long as Chris. And but Chris has got it distilled down to like a fine science.
Yeah.
And
agree.
art form.
Yeah.
You know, so
Hopefully all of that training and the stuff we've done is going to help us on our
No,
trip.
you guys are
Because-
set.
Whoa.
You don't need anything.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
give her.
Yeah. That's it.
I think we'll be okay.
Oh, yeah. We're going to be
We'll
fine.
be able to hold our own in
I
there.
think so, yeah.
So OVR 5 is coming.
Yeah,
Fall.
fall OVR. Yeah,
Fall OVR.
yeah, fall OVR. So
I hear Triple Clamp Moto is the
yeah,
sponsor.
yeah, it's we know somebody over there, so we managed to get a hookup.
We just got him in the podcast, gave
Yeah,
him some
yeah.
beer. I can't even say that because
No.
he's drinking Coke, but
That's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like it's 5 o'clock, and I still have to ride back to
yeah,
Toronto.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can wrap it up. We
No,
got,
no,
we
it's
got-
okay.
Yeah,
No, I don't mind.
we'll talk your ear off a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, fall OVR is coming up. You're the title sponsor, Triple Clamp.
Yeah, which
Thank
thank you.
you.
Which
That is
yeah,
awesome.
thank you for that.
No,
It's much
it
appreciated.
is. I just we joke around about sponsorship and all that. Especially this year, I wanted the company to be more involved with all this kind of events. We sponsored Dual Sport, Ontario Dual Sport Club, and OFDR, even KTM Rally. But you guys, a couple of Rally Canucks events, and sponsoring other riders and all, and roaming rallies, both of them. These are beside the KTM Rally, but these are, I think, is a responsibility of the businesses in this field, especially local businesses, to support.
Yeah,
And
for
these, if we don't do it, then who's going to do that? I mean, I learned how to ride. Not that I know how to ride, but I learned about these things through other guys and through these events and through going to roaming rally with all my camping gear and back of a 950. You've done it, you know.
Yeah.
All those crazy things that we did was because of these. We learned those things through these events, and
Absolutely.
it's a responsibility of all businesses to do this. So it's a way of giving back.
Well, I think, you're right. And I think if nothing else, we try and promote that. I mean, what we like to, our differentiating factor between what we do and what, other events are is we're more community based. So our whole ethos is getting the riding community together in one spot and have a lot of fun. That's kind of what OVR is and was always about.
But you've got the perfect setup
Right.
here.
Exactly. And that's part of that. If not, it's probably bigger than the ride itself. Like the ride itself is great. It's amazing. A lot of people enjoy it. The trails are epic, but I think hands down, no matter what kind of ride you had during the day, you're always happy.
Yeah,
to
I
come
mean,
back
like,
and
look,
just
you
chill
got
out.
it's Sunny Hill Resort. You
Yeah,
got
it's beautiful.
you got the lake.
Yep.
You
Right.
got the cottages. You want to camp, you can camp,
Yeah.
and the tracks start right there. Last
So
time we were
handy.
staying here with my family, and at top of the hill, I in the morning, there sounds of a dirt bike. So I just go up and just there's a field, and there's a mother and a daughter were just practicing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
And that was the trail single track going into the woods, and you said there's like endless
Yes.
amount going to Crownlands and into.
Yep.
Yep.
There, so far we've sussed out. There's so many old logging operations because, as you know, we're right next door to Algonquin Park, and it's
Right.
logging is a huge industry in this area, has been for hundreds of years almost.
Yeah.
And because of that, there's a lot, and I mean a lot of old logging trails that time is completely forgotten about. Tracks that hunters have put in to make trap lines and all sorts of stuff
Wow,
out there.
really?
And
Yep.
we're out there and we'll scout, like we'll spy like a bald rock face on a hilltop and look at it on a map and go, this
If I were a hunter, I would go there.
That's right.
or this trail goes really close to that. I bet you there's something that goes up there. I bet
Yeah.
you people have hiked up there already. Because 9 times out of 10, when you find these spots and you finally get up there, there's like, those little Inuktitut, those little rock statues that people built.
Right.
There's almost always one up there already.
Yeah.
And in fact, our highest lookout, I never in a million years would have guessed that there was a trail going up there. But Jay found it one winter.
Yep.
And yeah, it's a legit ATV trail that goes right up to the top of that.
Yeah.
And
They're everywhere here.
They're
man.
everywhere.
Yeah.
So, at any rate, we have quite an extensive network kind of sussed out here. But yeah, it's more about the gathering of all of our like-minded riders and friends. We have a season opener in the spring, so everybody shakes off the cobwebs after a long winter, getting ready for the riding season, and they all come here.
The
and,
colors.
And they, we just kind of we started things off, with getting together. Everybody goes off and does all the events and the races and goes on epic trips. And then fall OVR is our season closer. And everybody comes
Right.
back and we commiserate with, talking about how awesome our season was. And maybe what's next? What can't we wait for next season?
And no bugs.
And no bugs, right?
Both seasons.
No
So
bugs
good.
and no fire ban.
That's it. Yeah.
So it's that's what we're about, and that's our differentiating factor between like a rock hound or a 2-day Algonquin trail ride or something like that. It's not so much a trail ride.
How
as
hard is it? Because Rockhand kind of beat us. We did the gold class, and
Yeah.
we didn't even do all the special which we were supposed to.
yeah.
That waterfall thing, I always wanted to do it, and I did it. I came out of it regretting why did I do that to myself.
We've gotten ourselves
part
in
of it.
trouble in the past by downplaying our trail systems.
So
Difficulty
don't come
level.
with the 1290.
No, but
We have two classes.
But we have two classes. We have an enduro class, and then we have our adventure bike loops
Yeah.
as well.
Okay, so pause right there.
Mm.
Adventure class is, let me get it off my chest, because whenever you go on these events, they say, oh, this is the adventure class, aka all gravel road straight.
No.
There's no bump on the road either. You
No,
just
that's
go
not.
and then there is there's no, I wish there was like a internationally recognized scaling.
Agreed.
That's like-
Adventure 1, Adventure 2, Adventure
yeah,
3.
because if you ask Lee Martin what is easy and what is gold, I mean, gold, like some of them basically means impossible
Yeah.
for doing it on anything other than a 252.
We're a
stroke.
good. I think our adventure, if you were to compare it to like a Lee Martin event, our adventure is like a good bronze. It has a
Okay.
mix of everything, but
Yeah.
a lot of really great trails. Our fall OVR is really based around lookouts. It's to see, the fall colors. We have a photo contest as well. So I think if you want to classify it, it would be like a really good bronze from the Dacre or something. Like it's
Nice.
it's a
Okay,
nice.
So
yeah.
it's doable on big bikes.
100%.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's what it's designed for.
Yeah, we do all our pre-riding on the 1090s and make sure it's
See,
all
that
doable.
is a good way
It
of putting
is.
it. Just
Yeah.
giving people perspective
Yep.
of what to
100%.
expect. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we had a bunch of dudes from Petawawa come out on their adventure bikes last year, and they were trying to kind of figure out, like, they were asking me questions like, well, what's it like? What's the difficulty level? And I'm like, oh, like, there's a couple of sections that might be tricky and blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Anyways, long story short, they all came back on
with a big fat smile on their face.
They loved it.
100%.
They loved it, and some of them were, less experienced than others, but overall, they all had an amazing time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, the adventure bike loop is it's longer, obviously, and there's going to be some sections that are more technical than others, where it's going to require you to go slower. But it's all based around, like Jay said, is like this, adventure, right? Mm-hmm. Like you're out there to see things and experience the countryside and epic views and trails. So we're not out there to smash people. That's what our enduro loop is for.
Yeah, and it does.
But the adventure bike is just that. It's an adventure ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So bring the 1290.
So bring the 1290.
You're gonna love it.
Yeah.
Now, 1290 on the enduro.
Yes. Let's try it.
Ooh, take the fairings off.
If you can make it more than 3 kilometers out of the resort on the 1290, you're set.
Really?
Yep.
Not the 1290. The 1290 needs taller suspension for stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
The 990, but I have to get some leg extension before I just go. Really, if somebody wants to push that bike to its limit, you got to be 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
Like good 300 pounds of all muscle.
Or a circus performer where you don't lose your balance.
Or
ever.
Chris Birch.
Or Chris Birch.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, follow VR. We can't wait. It's one of the funnest events, I think, because like you say, it's beautiful colors, no bugs.
Yeah.
Conditions are almost always perfect.
Yeah, they're ideal.
Yeah, not too dry, not too wet. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Yep. So thanks for being on board. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully, we can. I don't know if I can make it, but I will do my best.
Yeah, you should definitely try.
Because 2 little kids.
Yeah,
and,
I know, I get it.
That's what the swimming pool is for.
Yeah. You have this figured out, huh?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Family oriented.
There's no reason why you can't bring the family.
Yeah.
At all. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Awesome.
Right on.
Okay.
Is there anything else we need to talk about for Triple Clamp? Is there any exciting new products you guys have on the horizon, or?
Well, it's the other thing I wanted to point out that we make products. We have like 60, 70 products, but we are also we carry 50,000 products on our website.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
It's we sell probably one of the largest number of Moto Z tires in Canada. And these are the products we sell. We especially for the enduro and the dual sport bikes are the products that we really believe in. We just like, these are good lines. Like I really wanted to carry Liat stuff because I really like their stuff. They make really good quality products, and they every year they just improve them. Like every year they come out, the pants, the helmets, the jackets, and everything. We don't do any service at this moment, so a lot of people ask us that. Maybe that changes next year, but we have quite a lot of products on our website, and we stock quite a lot of them as well.
And what is the website, just so we know? Throw it out there.
TripleClampMoto.com.
Perfect.
Ta-da!
.com or .ca? Is it a
.com or .ca, but .com. Everybody should go to the .com, and it will put you in the right place.
Okay.
Where depending on where you are.
Right on.
Yeah. So that's it. I think.
Right on.
Yeah. I feel. I don't know what to say. You just gotta go check it out yourself.
Yep.
I don't want to say it's this or that, or you have the best prices. Come check this.
Well, we are.
But I love the idea that you guys that it's something you believe in. So there's a lot of places that just sell whatever is available. If you guys believe in that product, that says something for your company for sure.
Yes, I mean we do have a lot of products that I haven't tested myself.
Right.
I haven't
Yeah,
tested
right.
all of them, but
Yeah.
it's mostly about the lines and about the products. The
Yep.
ones that we really like, we push them more.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
stock them. We try to keep them in stock.
Yep, right on.
It's
Perfect.
hard to find stuff, you know.
Well, we got a visit scheduled shortly.
Yeah.
We gotta go pick up the suspension for my bike from Superior Suspension Settings, who's putting it back to stock height for me for our trip.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna show up to the shop with our cameras, and maybe we'll do a little video tour for everybody.
Sure.
And show them what the shop looks like. Maybe get some sweet shots of that 990 RR sitting
Yeah,
in the
we
shop
will.
You gotta
floor.
see they just put a new shelf up in the shop. It's called "Offering to the Gods of Speed."
Nice.
What is this?
You've seen the movie, The World's Fastest Indian?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%, yeah.
That he has the shelf in his garage.
Okay.
It's all the pistons, all the engines,
Yep.
everything
Oh,
that
right.
blew up while he
Yeah,
was
yeah.
speed testing them or something.
Yep. Yep.
And
Awesome.
so we put all the motors that we blew up on all the parts that broke, and crooked pistons and all that.
I like it.
We have something similar.
yeah,
We did.
yeah. It's
We
more
had-
plastics.
We had all the
than-
parts that broke off various bikes that rode our trails.
Yeah.
And so we
Yeah.
have them kind of up on the.
Yeah.
It's
on the wall.
from myself and my friends and all. We put the parts there. We got 2 Husaberg engines that the piston just turned in the motor. Yeah, it was nasty. Like it
Terrible.
was a 50 feet long skid mark on the road.
Wow.
Yeah,
That'll do it.
Things like that, or all the things that broke really.
Yeah.
I like it.
Offerings.
Cool. Well, I can't wait to see it.
Yep.
So yeah, everybody stay tuned for that. And then after we visit the shop, we're going to do another podcast with Big Iron Moto, Moto Valley Rally,
Mhm.
maybe Russian Roulette,
Mm-hmm.
and their
That
buddy.
crazy guy Dimitri.
Yeah.
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 And then maybe their buddy Chris. So some of those dudes went and did Ertzberg this year, and the other half TKO
Yep.
down in Tennessee. So I'm excited to hear about that.
Mm-hmm. Be good.
So yeah, well, hey man, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. It's been awesome.
Thank you for
We're super
inviting
stoked.
me.
Yeah, well, hey, no problem. We're super stoked to see where Triple Clamp goes with all of its awesome products in the future.
I don't know.
And
There's no big plan.
no
It's
big
just
plan, but
growing.
yeah, it's just
organically.
growing. And
Awesome.
that I love that.
Yep.
You know, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for the support, and yeah, let's do some riding.
Yeah.
You know. All right.
All right.
Ciao, everybody.
I hit a tree with my face. This is what the aftermath of FML looks like.
Where's the easy button?